100.9, 12:30 a.m. WTBC. Hope you're doing well here on this early afternoon as you're getting ready to make your lunch plans. Maybe you're already at lunch. Maybe you're doing your thing already. Hope you're just having a wonderful, wonderful day. A lot to get into on the program today as we continue to talk Alabama football and all the other stuff that surrounds their program. We'll get some of that recruiting. A lot of things I want to really get heavy in today because something that's been kind of swirling around college football and the programs, talking about former athletes. We just saw C.J. Stroud, whoever you ask, made 50 or 100, somewhere in between, $100,000 donation to Ohio State. Of course, Ohio State been one of the biggest players in the transfer portal, getting several Alabama football players off their roster and others. Ryan Day, the head coach, has talked about that before, about if you're going to win at a high clip, you have to be a player in the transfer portal and you better have some money. Well, this reports out that they spent about $13 million, and now C.J. Stroud, who took his team to the playoffs, came up short against the Ravens, but he made a donation. Now people are clamoring for former athletes to give money back to their collectives or NIL type situations. I want to get into some of that. I'll tell you why that's not really going to happen. C.J. Stroud's a special young man, but from the whole, I don't see that being a big deal, even though I know people saying, hey, come on. My own personal experience through that with the University of South Carolina, through other players throughout the country. So we'll get into some of that. Look like Jim Harbaugh is headed to the Chargers. There's reports out there that are saying that Jim Harbaugh and the Los Angeles Chargers, I still want to call them San Diego, is going to take that job. Again, we don't know until that's finalized, but it looks like they're trending in that direction. If so, what does that mean for the Michigan Wolverines? Will we see the exodus that we've seen with Alabama, some of the other programs, or will they hire from within? If that does happen, will it be a hire that's happening from within with one of the coordinators? One of the reasons I felt like Alabama should have tried to trend that way if they could, but Nick Saban had to do what he had to do and for his best interest in his family. But I think we're probably going to see Michigan hire from within if, in fact, he does take an NFL head coaching job. But there's reports swirling this morning saying that that is pretty close to being a done deal, but we'll keep our eye on that. And we'll take phone calls, 205-342-9904. Don't forget to download that free app, Tide 100.9, absolutely free. So get that done. Leave your questions there, your thoughts, your comments. We have the best reader in town. Noah Haynes will do that for you and enlighten us based on what you said. We are very interested in that because we've been a player with that app from day one. We've got so much interest in it, so continue to have those come. And don't forget, we're on YouTube Live every single day, too, on our YouTube Extra channel. You can download that. That's at the Miller's Edge, very simple. And you can watch from your job wherever you are, wherever in the country. We have so many engagements there too as well. So thank you so much. I'm here in Columbia, South Carolina. Raining today, but temps are much warmer. I got my short sleeves out, no sun out, but guns still out. But whatever it is in Tuscaloosa, guns are out for Christian every day in the studio. He comes in that I don't know if we own the Bachelor or what we own. He comes in with whitey, wife beater, a tidy whitey.
No, it's like a Springer tank top. I'm coming from the gym. It's a tank. It's like an actual workout tank. It looks like a wife beater, but it's not.
When I come from the gym,
Oh wow.
When I come from the gym, I put my hoodie on because I'm hot. I don't want to go out into the cool air. I don't want to get the cold. So many germs are flowing. When you come out the gym and you got tidy whitey on, I'm kind of.
Whoa! Again, this is a workout tank. It's actually gray. It's not white, so it looks like it on camera. Screen. But like I said, it's workout gear. I'm coming from the gym, and I do have a hoodie. But like you said, the temperatures were warming up, and I actually was running out the gym because I was a little bit behind. But you know who I did see in there? I saw Justin Jones. Justin Jones in there. Talked to him for a little bit. I swear, our producer Justin Jones. He was in there. Talked to him for a little bit. So good for him, man. He's really attacking it. I see him in there a lot. So good for him. But we do have Noah behind the glass.
I saw him in there when you was on FaceTime.
Yeah, see, you saw him.
4X sweatshirt from Alumni Hall.
Yeah.
Or He had a big old, two people could fit in a sweatshirt.
Yeah, big old hoodie. And you're right, you definitely can get those at Alumni Hall. If you're interested in any officially licensed Alabama gear, head on over to Alumni Hall in Midtown Village in Tuscaloosa. They got the 2 for $38 deals online. They've got the hat wall if you like hats. They've got the Yeti products, Peter Millar, all Alabama gear right there for you at Alumni Hall. So go check them out right now. Again, in Midtown Village, or go to alumnihall.com, where the ultimate Crimson Tide fan shop. Again, that's for the latest and greatest Alabama officially licensed gear. Check them out. Again, that's Alumni Hall. With that being said, I'm glad you brought up the CJ Stroud thing. I'm not going to lie. I have a lot of thoughts on that too. Yeah, I'm going to have to tread lightly because I'm not going to lie. It might not be what people.
Let me be the one that get over the fence.
No, for sure. But I look, you like to be honest, so I got to be honest as well. And I'm just going to be straight up. I've talked to a couple guys, some of my teammates that play in the league, and not going to name names, but I'm just going to be fair. I'm going to kind of share the thought process behind their responses as well. So I definitely want to dive into that because that's going to be interesting. It's probably not going to be what a lot of people want to hear though.
Well, it is, because as soon as we saw that, right? Because you sit here and I get the old recline. I got my fireplace. I get the TV. I get my celly. And I go through X. And as soon as we saw that, I mean, all the folks that love Bama, Greg Byrne, they was tagging Greg Byrne and saying, hey, you got to get guys to give some money and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, I don't think these people have a clue because they don't know what we know, knowing former players, being former players, what's that's going to look like. And I brought that up just because I wanted to, I hope guys have changed their mind. But let's start right there, Christian. I mean, this is a good conversation because the reality is, I was talking to a teammate of mine just before the show, and he knows that I've been trying to do this through our collective, Carolina Rise here in Columbia, which I work for.
Get former players?
Yeah, part of my title is, athletes director or former athletes director.
Like relations, former player relations?
Right, former player relations, through that, meaning trying to connect them back to the program, right? Trying to get them, make them aware, because a lot of them are not aware, even though you see some guys on X. A lot of guys are not on X. A lot of former players don't fool with social media. So therefore, you don't even see them.
Your generation. So, my generation, there's probably a lot.
Well, but still, even your generation, I promise you, there's not.
You're saying they're too busy. I mean, they have it. They might be.
They got other stuff
consumed.
I mean, some guys are in it. They follow this stuff.
I was about to say, I see a lot of posts from my teammates.
Yeah, but a lot of guys don't want nothing to do with it. Like, they might be on it and just look, but they're not really posting a lot. Fair. That being said, my point is this. I talked to my former teammate today. I talked to many others. And the reality is, let's just get down and dirty. Let's get a 3 technique here. That's what we do here on the Miller's Edge. We're down in the trenches, brother. Former players, for the most part, I use the percentage 85%. He says, Corey, it's more than that, meaning that these guys are not, all caps, going to give money back to the university, especially through an NIL deal where younger players, high school and or college players, a lot of them are asking for money that hadn't played one play yet.
Right.
That's the general consensus, right? Nobody, these guys like me, who y'all think I'm negative, but I don't want to give no money to somebody until you have proven that you can play. And that is going to be the attitude of most players. That's the number one thing. Number two, Christian, is a lot of these schools, South Carolina, Alabama, you name it. A lot of these schools, let's ask a question. What have you done for the athlete? Not talking about when the athlete was doing something for you, talking about playing time and on the field. But a lot of schools don't do enough for the athletes. Now, not Greg Byrne, but Kalen Debor, in this one of his interviews or his press conference, I cannot remember which one it was. He made it known that, hey, former players, and we've talked about this, former players are welcome back, right? And someone just tweeted a picture or X'd a picture of Dylan Thompson with a big, nice pool that's in the locker room, with the big A and jacuzzi. Y'all get together. That's very nice, by the way. Like former players heating what Kalen Debor said, and they take the picture and retweet, quote, tweet, quote, X's.
But we've been doing that, and you know that. I mean, former players have been coming back.
Around there.
Yeah, for years.
But that's what I'm telling. Like they act like this is some new thing because Kalen Debor said it.
Yeah, no. We've
happening.
We've taken advantage of all the amenities for years. Back. Yeah,
right. That hasn't been a problem. But I can tell you at South Carolina, a lot of former players didn't want to go back because they did not feel welcome. So you got to do more than just let a guy come in and get in a jacuzzi and work out. It's bigger than that. And that's what I was telling the folks here at South Carolina. It's bigger than just, let me come back, work out every now and again. You got to put things together for former players. You got to have game day experiences for former players. You got to give them jobs. You got to look at former players when it comes to working in the athletic department. It's much bigger than that. But they're the first one to say, well, do you give money back? Do you do this? Do you do that? No. Because you don't do enough. And people out here that don't know, and I know I'm going to get these comments going to say, well, you got a free education. And it pisses me off, excuse my language, when I hear somebody say, you got a free. Let me tell you something, sweetheart. Ain't nothing free. They work their tails off to get that scholarship, right? They earn it. They're traveling. They're up early in the mornings and workouts and cold. They're not getting proper rest and taking exams. They do everything. And now today's game, the school benefits greatly. They're underpaid. They're underpaid athletes, right? Look at the gazillions of dollars these schools are making. So don't tell me it's free. So, Christian, those are the two things, and I'll let you have it, that I'm saying C.J. Stroud, praise the Lord. He's a godly man. He's outspoken about his faith, that I love it. And I'm glad that he did. But I'm going to tell you, 85 to 90% is not giving NIL, not giving collective, not giving the university up, fill in the blank, nothing, because their lack of doing something, especially when the career is over. When I always say, these fans say a lot of stuff, but when your end don't have a job, or them big boosters out there offering you jobs, are them big boosters open doors for you? Are the school, when you go back and want internships and things like that, what are they doing? They go hiring somebody else. A lot of times, even when it comes to former players and jobs, I know Freddie Roach is on the staff, Jamie Moses is on the staff,
Denzel Chap. I will say at Alabama, we do a really nice job of.
Alabama do a better job than most.
Even outside of,
Dabo Swinney does probably better than anybody.
Yeah, well,
20-something guys, I counted them a couple of years ago. 20-something former players in some kind of capacity working for the university.
Yeah, that's how it should be.
Huge.
Yeah,
that's the way it should be.
But I was going to say, even outside of just our athletic department, I mean, we do a good job as well of using our programs, our career programs, to help guys find career paths or help them, find jobs that they can specialize in that might be tailored to their degree or whatever they might be interested in. So I will say Alabama actually does a really good job when it comes to that. And Coach Saban was heavily involved with that. Obviously, we've seen that, having Denzel Duvall, Josh Chapman, Jamie, like you said, all these former guys that played under him on staff. They and if it's not in athletics, they will go out their way to. I mean, Coach Saban, you can ask any former player. He will be your number one reference for any job. As a matter of fact, I saw, oh God, I'm forgetting, man, who was it? I forgot, but basically it was for a totally outside of athletics type job, and Coach Saban was a reference contact for him. And
put me on your resume.
Yeah, put him on his resume. Yep, it was awesome to see that. But anyway, and I'll talk about my thoughts on the former players coming back.
I'm not trying to say that to deter Aaron Suttles and Yale, Alabama, but we just keep it real, because if I'm a coach, guys, I'm using these guys, right? I'm creating jobs. I'm creating things for them to work within the athletic department. Or if they want to do something else, that's good. But I'm doing something. Even if they're not working, guess what? As I told my people, that's what they're ready to hear. Why don't you have a game day experience with former players? Why don't they have a tent? Use the indoor facilities where they already got food and they got the email. Everybody got to do their right thing, right? Bring them back. Let them have engagement with fans. Let them take pictures. Let them have engagement with the players, that they get to know them, not just by name, but get to know them. I mean, there's so many things that these schools can do, but yet they don't. And that's the reason why you're not going to see too many CJ Strouds opening up the checkbook for a NIL or a collective. It ain't going to happen. Coming back, we'll talk more about that. Also, I want you to hear what one Clay Travis, who I don't like at all, but he says one coach that got a new job, he's not going to last about 4 years, and he's going to be fired. I'll tell you who that was coming up after the break. This is the Mills Edge on the Tide, 100.9, 1230 AM WTBC. We're the home of Alabama Crimson Tide. We're sponsored by the Good Feet Store, America's arch support experts, 1 feet at a time. Back in a moment.
What is going on, everybody? Appreciate everybody joining us. Who do we have in here? Let's see. Jeremy, Dr. Crystal, Sam's in here, Joey, Todd. What's going on, everybody? If you guys haven't already, make sure you like the stream. That helps us out. If you're not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and subscribe. You don't want to miss out on any content. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us. All right, let's dive into this. Let's see. Roll Tide G. Sam says, does Alumni Hall have the Miller's Edge hats and sweaters? Not yet. We need to work with them on that. That'd be cool. I need to talk with Beth and see if we can set something like that up. I talked to her, matter of fact, initially about it, but I got to circle back with that. We got to get our merch back going. Douglas is in here. Roll Tide. What's up, Douglas? Dr. Crystal says, hey, Christian, go and drop that 100K in the Alabama. By the way, gun show today. Let me get put in the gym. I promise I'm not trying to be a tool. I'm just leaving the gym. And I legit had to run out the gym to my truck and drive over here. So, but if I'm inspiring people to go work out, man, I'm never opposed to that, man. Working out is good for the soul. But to drop 100K, absolutely not. Look, CJ Stroud was what, top? Was he a top 3 pick? Whatever. Where would he go, number 2? So, and I'll talk about my thoughts on it too. But I mean, when you can have a tax deduction or a write-off, I mean that definitely is more incentive for guys to do that. But I think it might depend on the state, maybe. If you can write something like that off. But I'm just going to tell y'all, man, a lot of guys aren't going to be interested in writing checks like that. If I'm being honest with you, I mean, CJ Stroud's a great dude. Obviously, I mean, like I said, he got a big signing bonus, being the number 2 pick. He can write that off. That's fair, but NFL don't make as much as, not everybody makes that.
Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 AM WTBC. Corey Miller, Christian Miller, my man Noah in the studio, taking your calls 205-342-9904. Don't forget, download that free app, leave some comments, thoughts, questions there. Before we get to the phone line, we see you there. Stay right there. I'm coming. I want Christian to give his thoughts. We've been talking about former players like CJ Stroud. He wrote a check to Ohio State. Ohio State been just balling when it comes to transfer portal. All kinds of dudes, man, adding to the already loaded roster. I think it was a couple of years ago, Ryan Day, the head coach, said it takes a lot of money to basically buy your team, build up your team. And it was said they have spent $13 million just in football, not counting other sports. Now, C.J. Stroud, who had a phenomenal rookie season, probably going to be the offensive rookie of the year, no doubt about that. Dropped, people are saying somewhere between 50 to 100,000 to a collective for the NIL. So, Christian, what say you?
Well, this is what I have to say on that. And as a former player here, look, we have a ton of guys in the league, right? And everybody knows that, and that's where all this was coming from once they saw CJ Stroud made that donation. Everybody flocked to Twitter and was, like you said, tagging Greg Byrne, like, man, if we could just get all our guys in the NFL, which, I mean, on the active roster, I mean, we have the most guys. I mean, we got a plethora of players in the NFL, and everybody's like, oh, okay, if they all donate, that solved this problem. And that's true. I mean, you could raise a good bit of money that way, but like you said, the more sustainable model is probably in smaller increments, recurring with, throughout the whole fan base. But look, if you're just talking about generating more money, yeah, that is a great idea. But if I'm being completely transparent, I got the opinion of several guys I played with, and nobody really seemed like they were interested in, giving a lump sum of money back like that. I'm not saying they wouldn't, do like a standard type NIL, what you know what I mean? Like the package, whatever you want to call it. I don't even know how these things, what you call them, packages or whatever. Like there's memberships. They probably would do something like that for sure, right? I mean, they definitely could do that. But when you're talking everybody donating a lump sum, like, I don't think people realize, like, the NFL, you definitely make a great deal of money, but not everybody is making millions and millions of dollars. Now, the league minimum has increased. It is around $800,000, but you got to remember, after Uncle Sam takes his piece, then you pay your agent. I mean, guys might
400, 375. No.
Yeah, you probably making around 400, 375, like you said. Actually, like net. That's what your net, right? Then you've got your bills and expenses. Then a lot of these guys, well, they definitely are going to. And which look, they earn their share. They want to go. They're going to want to go on trips. They're going to do all that stuff. And then you got to remember, these guys have families, right? They're older. They might have wife and kids they got to support and take care of. If they got, a lot of guys come from situations where they're relying, like their family is relying on them. They got parents, aunts, uncles, cousins that are in need, right? I knew several players that used to give thousands of dollars a month just to their family. Like that was part of their thing. So these guys have a lot more that they're accountable for. And that's one thing. The other thing is, you got to realize, at least I'm speaking from my experience at Alabama, a lot of guys feel like you were just saying, like, why am I, paying back to these kids that haven't necessarily done anything? Like I said yesterday, if I could designate, like, look, man, I want to support guys like Malachi Moore, Tyler Booker, these guys that have been in the program, they put the work in, right? They're wearing that A with pride. They're great leaders, right? They're doing the right things off the field, right? They're good people. I know Malachi, right? I'm good friends with Malachi. Great dude, man. I love that dude. Really, like, solid person off the field, great player, works hard, great leader, right? If you could designate that, that'd be cool. And obviously guys want to support the whole, because we got to remember this, the NIL stuff does technically, it's designated to the entire athletics, right? It's not just football. However, that is something to consider. Then I think the biggest thing is former players like myself. I mean, we put in all that work, and it's not that we're like, oh, we didn't get paid, but we also feel that we've already paid it forward by our accomplishments or what set these new guys up to have these amenities, right? Because my teammates and myself, all the countless hours, time, and effort of us grinding and blood, sweat, and tears and having success, that's the reason there's a brand new locker room. That's the reason there's upgrades at the stadium. You see what I'm saying? Like, we feel like we've already contributed in that manner, right? Like, no offense to these kids that are just getting there, but they don't have a new locker room because anything they did, they haven't done anything yet. The new locker room, zero. You know what I mean? Listen, like they have a new locker room. They have brand new dorms. They have all this stuff because of the work that was put in before them. For instance, I got here in 2014. They completely renovated the weight room the first year I got here, right? I was appreciative of those guys from 2009, 10, 11, 12, 13 that came before me that paved the way, but because it was because of them and their success that I was afforded that nice new weight room. And then I knew it was on me and my class and everybody that came after us to uphold that standard, because that's why we were given such nice things, right? And then we had a standard to live up to. So there's stuff like that. And then the last thing I'll think of is I hate to bring this up, and because there's no beef, but people have to understand this. When I talk about standard, it goes towards several things. We used to have a standard of always being in one accord, right? Always, everybody wearing black cleats, everybody wearing the same issued gear, right? Whether it was in the workout room, whether it was on practice, in games specifically, especially. Well, I don't know if you guys remember, but a couple years ago, guys were a little frustrated about, the green mouthpieces. I hate to bring this back up because, again, there's no beef at all, right? Like, it is what it is. But there was a lot of former players that were a little frustrated, and it wasn't them trying to be mean or pick on these guys. They were just saying, look, the standard has always been the standard. We were never allowed to wear crimson colored cleats or anything different. We were never allowed to wear certain socks, or we were never allowed to wear a different colored mouthpiece. We weren't allowed to wear jewelry. Coach Cochran would always apply those rules, right? He'd go around and remove that stuff from you. And so when some guys voiced that, again, it wasn't picking on them. It just was like, hey, man, this has always been the standard, man. We're a little disappointed that this is kind of changing. I didn't publicly do it, but I'm saying there was a lot of former players doing it. And the response that those players got was a lot of backlash. And the team actually, I think they used it as a bonding moment, which is great. But they kind of gave the former players the middle finger because the whole team came out in green mouthpieces. Which, again, I love the fact that they bonded together. I mean, it's unfortunate it took former players kind of getting on them for them to kind of have that come to Jesus moment. But you don't think former guys are going to think about that? Like, hey, you're asking me to donate this money to give to these guys that basically gave us the middle finger for asking them just to uphold the standard. We weren't asking them to do anything crazy, not asking them to do anything different that we did from what we did. We just were asking them to just follow the standard and just, you know what I mean? Keep that standard alive. And they basically gave us a middle finger. So you got to think about that too. But that's a long-winded way of saying, man, I think it's going to be very hard to get guys to buy back into that if we're being completely honest. Plus, I'm just going to give you my perspective. I would love to support a lot of athletes as much as I can. But here's the deal. I'm a very financially aware person. I don't want to be giving money to an 18-year-old kid who's going to go blow it on jewelry and cars. And I'm not saying everybody will do that, but I think that's irresponsible and negligent. If I knew my money was going to set him up and giving him a bank account to, you know what I mean, set him up for his future, if it was going to teach him how to invest his money to set him up for when he's done with college, say he gets hurt and doesn't get to play in the NFL, he's set in that way, I would probably be more on board that way. But right now, man, I'm not trying to be funny, but these guys are getting these NIL deals, and the first thing they're doing is going to the dealership. They're driving $70,000, $80,000 cars, which again, that's fine. I'm not pocket watching, but to me, I'm just like, come on, man. And again, in 2014, you know how much we got paid a month? $125. I couldn't even fill up my gas tank in my truck. I had an F-150. It was an old F-150. It was like 2007 F-150. Had a lift kit on it, big tires. I was probably getting 10 miles to the gallon. And I was having to fill up all the time. That $125.
You should have bought you a Ranger then.
I probably should have, but no, can't do the midsize. But I'm saying, look, I'll get on with this, but I couldn't even afford the gas. But I was just, grateful. I made it work. I knew I had all the food up there. And again, I'm not taking away from these guys. What I'm saying is a lot of former players look at it as, we went through that same thing, probably even harder than they're going through now. We didn't get paid. We made do with what we had. We kind of struggled, but we made it work. These guys now are already getting money, and it's like it's more and more. Like these guys on average are probably getting paid at least $40K a year. I mean, we didn't get any of that.
No, that's low.
And that's low.
That's low.
That's low.
I think they all getting 60.
But listen, I'm saying that's a base pay. They're getting that. Then they have the opportunity to make even more. If they want to go do a deal to make even more money, they can do that. So What I'm saying is a lot of former players think that way. They're just saying, look, man, we got paid $125 a month. Like
they're not going to get,
these guys are getting they're getting $40K now and can make more money on top of that by doing individual deals.
They get more.
And you're asking us to give more. It's like a lot of former players feel that way. I'm just being transparent. So
I mean, we talked to former players, right? And they kind of gave us an idea. Even the better former players that plays, that's a name. They taken care of, bro. We laugh but it was very interesting because those former players would be like, hey, we're not getting enough, man. We struggling. I'm like, one guy said, like, what?
Oh, yeah.
How in the world you struggling? This is at Alabama, right? knowing that you get 60,000 plus.
They said they said $5K a month was hard for them to sustain.
When you eat for free, when you get free clothing.
That blew my mind.
I mean, your stuff is basically your room and board is basically taken care of, and it's just you. You're struggling. I mean, all of us is like, what, bro? You have no clue. So my thing is this, guys. This is real talk. Former players and Nick Saban I remember just months ago, and I don't know if he didn't post it, but somebody at Alabama posted what the salary was of all those players at Alabama, what they were getting, right? It was so much money. You remember seeing that? He put out there with all
you're talking about the total contracts?
Oh,
yeah.
We get paid.
I think you cut off for a second. But
we get paid around here. That's what they say. We get paid around here. Listen, they're not spending no money. I'm not giving no money. Chris is not giving no money. And most former players are not going to be like C.J. Stroud. You can bank on that because that's one thing. But the biggest thing is they're not giving money to unproven players. Now, they might help a brother out to struggle, but they ain't giving no check. Quick time out your phone calls. We see you over there. We'll take some calls, some messages on the other side. This is the Miller's Edge. We're on the Tide 100.9, 1230 a.m. WTBC. Back in a moment.
So I kind of took over that whole thing. I guess he taught most of the first one, but there's a lot to dive into with that, man. And I hate to be like that, or if it comes off like, man, well, why are we? Like I said, things that are like, a typical, membership stuff like that. I'm sure plenty of guys will do that, but lump sums like that, man. I'm just telling you, man. We got paid $125 a month, and again, same dining hall. If anything, they probably have more opportunities. We just made it work. But again, you got to remember that they all get a base of like 30, 35, maybe 40, something like that. So they're already getting that. Like that's a given. Like that's what I forgot what they call it, but everybody gets that. And then obviously you can get more depending on, I guess, who you are and all that stuff. So a lot of guys just think of it like if they're getting a salary, almost, you can call it, like what else are we paying for? You know what I mean? I get you're trying to give these guys these signing bonuses, whatever you want to call it, but I'm just telling you right now, it's not going to last. Yeah, stipend. Yeah, I guess you can call it a stipend, but their stipend's a lot higher than ours. Now, granted, once we were upperclassmen, and you moved off campus, it went up to like $1,600, but you had to pay your own rent. So if you got $1,000 rent, you got $600 left.
How about you? As a fan, we've been in the locker room, man. Dirty jocks, socks, and T-shirts. You know what I mean? We did all that blood, sweat, and tears. And we're saying, nah, I can't give you. I can tell you this, there was a player right here in South Carolina, because I'm a part of the stuff. Well, they have asks, right? And you go to the coach, how it works is, you know who the players are because you own these sites, Tider Insiders and whatever .coms, BOL.coms and whatever. So y'all have access to all this stuff, right? And there's a recruit. Well, the collective going to make sure via through the coach and say, hey, coach, what we need to get said player. Well, in this case, my case, wasn't even football, said player needed $100K. So my point was to them was like, listen, I get what this said player has done in high school. Very talented, great upside. But you want to hand him a bag for $100K and knowing that if that said player gets out there next year and doesn't beat X out and has to sit on the bench, you know what that said player's going to do?
Leave.
Bye-bye. piece, and you already given them $100,000 that you can't get back.
Mm.
And then you got to repeat the process again. So my advice for them was, let's do payment plans, right? Set them up. Hey, if I got to give a kid in football $300,000, if coaching staff says, hey, because the coaching staff are the ones that are making this call. So don't y'all get it twisted. We know collective raises the money and do all the paperwork, but it's the coaches that are telling the people at the collectives to get things done. All right, that's how it happens. Now, there have been instances where collectives have gone on their own and offered players in high school money. We seen it happen at Florida, the quarterback. And then he gets to campus, they don't have it. $13 million. So this thing is crazy. So, you know,
they're going to change it. They're going to change it. It's not going to last long. I mean, because again, it's pay for play. I mean, like, that's what we're describing. Like, again,
yeah.
And once you're on campus, I know we say this so many times, but I mean, I don't understand how you can't describe it any better than this. Use your talent to make plays on the field, then use your persona, your personality to be and have good character to make relationships off the field, establish your brand off the field, get those brand deals, make money that way. That's NIL. Do autographs, sell jerseys, sell T-shirts, just like Alabama. They did a T-shirt for Malachi Moore. Matter of fact, go support that. You get a T-shirt for it, and you're supporting the guys. That's awesome.
How much that?
I didn't look at it, but he had the quote: "If they ain't wearing crimson, blank them." Right? It says if you ain't wearing crimson ... then it's got his last name and his number. That's cool. Like, that is NIL. Support a guy like that. He's a great player and a great person, and that's a cool T-shirt. That's what it is. But this whole my price is $300K to come here. That's pay for play. That's not NIL. That's a signing bonus. That's not going to last long. I'm telling you right now, they're already working on it, and it's not going to last long. They're going to get rid of it. They're going to get rid of it.
Love to hear your thoughts. Let's get to the phones. Let me get my phone out. Noah's
we've got
sending me the information.
We got KJ from Atlanta first.
342-9904. Let's go to KJ. He's in the ATL. What's up, my brother? Welcome in.
How you guys doing, man?
What's up, KJ?
Man, great.
I want to point out to the point, because it's actually every time that you guys have subjects, it's kind of crazy because I have these same group chat subjects beforehand. So it's kind of funny that y'all brought this up. And I was the person in the group chat actually to bring up the CJ Stroud thing. I sent the link, and I don't know if you guys are like Christian. I mean, Christian, you may be more so amped to know it, but after I sent that, a lot of the former players, they was like, "Wait, how much is he giving now?" Like it piqued their interest. And I want to go on record by saying, like, by no means does any former player have anything to do. Like, they should not be required to send any amount of money to anyone.
Right.
But that definitely piqued their interest because we live in I hate to say it, monkey see, monkey do generation that you see CJ Stroud do it. I think it'll shock y'all, but I do think some players will, I saw him do it, I got to do it too.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, some people, you're right. I mean, it's almost like a status or a statement. They want to make a statement. If I had to name one person that I could definitely see doing something like that, but it wouldn't necessarily be for a statement just because he genuinely would want to do it, that'd probably be like Will Anderson, man. He's one of those dudes that he's very prideful, very appreciative of Alabama. I definitely could see him making some type of contribution.
Will or Bryce Young, maybe
Bryce. But again, they also are top 3 picks. They just signed for, $25 to $30-something million. Like, that was their signing bonus. They can afford, a $50 to $100K donation, especially if it's a tax write-off. But other guys,
we got to remember too, we got former players that are donors too, like Wesley Brent. Like, isn't he like a booster too as well? So like, we got people as well, former players. It's nothing new. This is nothing new. Right. It's already happened. This has just been a main thing that just came out.
No. That's not. Yeah, I'm sorry, but there's not a whole lot of former players.
Yeah, no, there's not a lot.
No, I didn't say it was a whole lot. Like, it's still not going to be a whole lot. But what I'm saying is, Ohio State already had former players that were boosters.
Like
Alabama has some. Yeah, like, it happens. So that's what I'm saying in terms of former players. But
I'm trying to bring this thing back now. Like, even the last 25. So, Christian is great friends with C.J. Mosley, Jamie. So, a guy like C.J. Mosley, been around, played great in the league, first round picks. We did an $80 million deal. Can you see a guy like C.J. Moses saying, yeah, and his brother's on the staff, right? Hey, I'm gonna give $25,000 to the collective for players. Christian, could you see that happening?
But let me ask you.
Maybe with Jamie being on staff, and I mean, CJ's a good dude. And then again, if you can write it off, if you can get a tax deduction, I definitely could see more people doing it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
People
that's
exactly the biggest incentive. If it's a tax write-off, I do feel you'll see more guys doing it. If it's not, though, yeah, I don't know.
But
is Jay Alabama 501c3?
See, I'm not too sure. I'll have to educate myself.
Why is it expected though of fans to be giving out money, but former players? It's like, man, you know what I mean? Like, yo,
hey, look. I tell people to do what they can. You listen to the show. You hear me. I always say I feel bad for the fans having to dish out money. But what I'm saying is the biggest thing, KJ, is because we went through the same thing, but even harder. And again, dude, my first year we got 125 a month, and they keep renovating and building new things because of the groundwork of the former players. So in our heads, we're kind of like, we've already done enough by getting them.
Players always think players think it's y'all that y'all. And I mean, I get it, y'all the entertainment, but really, it's the fans that really make this thing go round. So, like, you know what I mean? It's like, well, wow, shoot, if anybody, like you were talking about, former players need a job. Wouldn't it be a smart thing to give up? Like, hey, you're a super fan. I'm gonna give you a job for this university. Work, you know what I mean? Like stuff like that. Sure. I feel like.
Hold on. You're trying to tell me that the fan is more important than the athlete?
Absolutely.
Whoa, okay. Hold on. All right, now, I don't know about
KJ.
You lost there, KJ.
What you got in your coffee this morning?
More important, KJ, there wouldn't be a sport.
If you got no player, you got nothing.
Who would the fans be watching?
How are you going to say that?
The fans can go out on the field and play at the YMCA. The fans can go out on the field and do it. You can replace the athlete. You cannot replace a fan.
KJ, come on now. KJ,
if
it was
to watch Johnny Snow
everybody
running a 5.940 play, are you kidding me?
If that was the case, why don't these little semi-pro or these little park ball flag football leagues, why aren't the stands filled if football's football?
Because we got professionals that we don't need them. But if we didn't have professionals, we would go to them, and you know it. We would go to them.
Now, I'm not gonna lie, you lost me on that one. Now I will say, I'm not taking nothing from the fans. The fans definitely are an integral part of sports.
Yeah,
they make when there's no fans. Yeah, if there's no fans in the stadium, it feels empty. I mean, like
it ain't no game.
You know what I'm saying? However, now come on now, but
they played the game without fans in COVID. Games still went on.
Yeah, the games.
So we still watch. We still watch them games. If it was no watching the winning game,
go to the game.
But
the TV revenue was still.
TV
revenue kept going.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, man. Like fans are
you lost
super important. They're
we the lifeline. We the lifeline, in my opinion.
Wait a minute. So I'll get back. So you're gonna tell me? I don't know. I've never seen you, KJ. Love you as a brother, but you're gonna tell me that there's people that if you're saying you can go out there and be Kool-Aid McKinstry.
No, I didn't. That is not what I said. I did not say that at all.
Well, you said the fans can go out there. You said the fans can replace.
I said we can go out there. Well, what does he do? Backpedal and catch a ball. The fan can go back there and backpedal and catch a ball.
Oh, bro, come on.
That's all I'm saying.
KJ, now I'm assuming you probably played sports, right?
Yeah, I played, but I'm being serious. I feel like
if you play sports, you know dang well not just anybody can go out there and do this stuff. Come on, man.
I'm just gonna be honest. I'm being honest. That's my point. But I got one more point I got to make before y'all cut me off.
All right, there
y'all
you go.
Y'all got to click on that.
No, I'm looking at these people commenting and listening to you.
I'm not gonna lie.
What in the world are you talking about?
The YouTube stream is not agreeing with you right now, but it's all good. Go ahead.
I don't care what they're talking about. Okay. Rank these coaches: Debor, Lincoln Riley, and Lane Kiffin. And No. I'm sorry. Lincoln Riley, Debor, and Steve Sarkisian. And I'm gonna hang up and listen to it.
Wait. You said rank them? Like
1, 2, 3.
Rank those coaches. Yep.
Say
Debor.
Okay. Who else?
Steve Sark. Yep. And then lastly, Lincoln Riley.
All right.
Okay, I got mine easy.
There you go. Appreciate it, KJ. That was fun. That was wild.
He said Lane Kiffin.
No. He said Debor, Sark, and Lincoln Riley. There you go. Sorry.
Lincoln Riley is 3. Debor is 2. Sark is number 1. And I don't care if they lost to that doesn't weigh. I'm saying I think Sark has done it longer and a proven better offensive mind than Debor at this point and at a higher level.
Yeah, if we're going to rank them right now, people are going to say, will Debor beat Sark? So I can see them putting Debor 1, but I just, and maybe it's because I'm biased because I've been around Sark and I kind of know what he has to offer. You know, I'm just becoming more Sark and Debor than Lincoln Riley. But
No, you can't do that. That's cheap.
Okay, well then I guess I'll probably just say Sark for now, just because, I mean, I know Debor beat him, but that's what I'm saying. But Debor beat him though. So do you have to, by default, do you have to put?
But because somebody beat somebody doesn't mean.
Listen, no, I know that's fair because I mean, Coach Saban was beat by, let's say, Jimbo.
Right.
They don't make Jimbo better, but I'm just saying, I don't know.
Well, somebody in Auburn right now that's beat him twice. Is he better?
Oh, that's a good point. Well, we're going. If that's the metric, then I'll probably say Sark.
All right. I've got to hit a break. I see you, Warren. I see you, Denon. I see you others online. The messages app, Tide 100.9. Put your question right there. I'm blown away. That KJ, I just think he's drunk. KJ, you're a drunk. Oh, you taking some medicine for your headache that's got you crazy. I mean, we love fans. We stand up for the fans, bro. And we love them being in the stands and what they bring, the energies. But, bro, you can't tell me they're more important than the player because you don't have any athletes. What revenue? What Disney gonna do? They're gonna pay money for the fans to go out there and play?
That's like saying the plate's more important than the food.
All right, we got to break.
Product.
You're not a fan on the YouTube extra,
or the pan. The pan's more important than the food. You can have the pan, but you ain't gonna have nothing to cook. Love you, KJ, but man, I don't know. That was wild.
Back in a moment. Wow.
I think KJ was trying to stir up the pot intentionally, man. I think KJ was trying to do that. Just to be clear, we know how important fans are. I don't want people to get that misconstrued, right? Somebody said KJ just entered the portal. Again, fans are an integral part of sports. I mean, we all know that, right? I mean, fans definitely, you have to have the fans, right? We know that, but I can't go as far to say that they're more important than the athlete. And that's not me being biased. That's just, I just gave you, what do you call it? Example, whatever you want to call it, right? I mean, that's like having the cooking pot, but no food to cook, right? You're not going to have, there's none to eat. Seems like in terms of the coaching rankings, most people are saying Sark, Debor, and then Lincoln. I think that's fair. I mean, but I respect, if you have Debor 1, I could definitely respect that. He did beat Sark, I guess twice. So yeah, I definitely could understand that. And again, it might just be my bias because I'm more familiar with Sark, but I just, being around him, just knowing, how he schemes things and the offensive mind that he is, he's a heck of a football coach. Hey, but that was some good content though. That definitely got things spun up. So KJ with the chicken versus the egg debate. No, that was good though. That was interesting for sure. Athletes are entitled, of course. They're going to see things a certain way. Whoa. That's not cool, Melissa. I don't think it's that they're entitled. It's just, again, I mean, I don't know any other way to put it. I mean, you're a fan of something. If you don't have something to be a fan of, then there's no fan, right? Again, I think that question makes it sound like you're degrading the fan, but it's not that by any means. It's just, I don't think, now if you want to say they're on the same level, I could probably bargain with you, but there's no way you can tell me the fan is more important than the athlete. Debor beat Sark twice. Yeah, that's what I just said. That's what I said. I mean, I understand if you rank it that way. It's all subjective. If there are no players, there's no games. Right, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if you don't have players, I mean, are the fans just in an empty stadium or in a stadium with an empty field? Like, what? 1A, 1B. That's what I try to go with. I think 1A, 1B was fair, but they basically gave me no choice. I had to pick one. We know athletes are important. They're just not as important as the fans. I guess that's also subjective. We can just agree to disagree, Melissa. I don't know how else to put that. I mean, if athletes aren't that important, then I just don't understand what you're a fan of. That's what's confusing me. Like, the athletes create fans, right? Like, the teams are what create fans. If there's no teams with athletes, then you're not a fan of anything.
KJ, that's just for you. That's for KJ right there. We forget you, bro. You have somebody on the YouTube said KJ has officially entered the transfer portal.
Well, I mean, he's got one person that feels strongly about what he said, and I don't understand it, because I guess my thing is athletes and the team, they create fans, right? Like, you got to be a fan of something. If you take that, if you remove that and you take that away, then what are you a fan of? Grass?
Yeah.
That's all I'm confused. Again, it's not degrading the fans. It's just, I'm like, if you're gonna, I don't think you can order it. You know,
I'd love to see how many fans will show. I mean, how many people will show up to watch KJ backpedal.
No, yeah, that was the other thing.
Yeah,
I'm like, if that was the case, then why? If that's the case, then the XFL or UFL, whatever it is now, the rating should be just as high. Well, no, it's the UFL now. They've combined.
UFL, okay.
But
they won't be high.
No, but what I'm saying, if that was the case, then the rating should be the same as NFL.
And that's all football. Yeah, let's go. Let's get going. Noah, message from Mike real quick. Then we're going to take Den on you. Hold on real quick. What message we have from Ty 100.9? Noah.
Yeah, Mike was just on that conversation. We just said maybe he agrees a little bit more with KJ. Says no product without customers, but I don't know. That can go both ways. I think.
No, there still is a product. That's the thing. The product still exists, right? I mean, yeah, I get what he's saying, but again, if you want to use that though,
let's go to Ben.
I think the cooking example is perfect. It's like having a pot with no food to cook.
You sure about that?
I'm very sure. About
that. I got some non-stick pots. But I ain't got no collars to put in there.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to eat. There's going to be nothing to eat. You can have a pot, but nothing in it. But if you don't have anything to put in it, then there's nothing to eat.
Yeah. Can somebody post a picture of KJ backpedaling? That would be great. Then you're up next here on the Miller's Edge. Welcome in.
Hey, man, I ain't gonna lie. You're in Christian's conversation and the first part of KJ's conversation. I thought, man, they're all in my notes here. Because I've been sitting here, was riding around Tuscaloosa listening to y'all and thinking, man. Then all of a sudden I'm like, well, y'all kept hitting my point here, my point here, my point here. And all of a sudden KJ come in here and just blew it off the map there for a second.
He messed us all up.
No, that was good. That was fun, man. I like stuff like that.
Oh, man, make you think, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of him backpedaling. That would be fair.
Oh, well, the thing about it is, I think the country is getting this NIL, quote unquote NIL, and pay for play, which is basically what this in essence really is.
Right.
They're getting confused. NIL for itself is great. But,
yes.
Coach Nick Saban told these folks, 2 years ago, this will never be sustainable.
He did.
Exactly.
And Christian touched base with this a little bit just a minute ago. Majority of the alumni, which is basically your big boosters, and I would say through the help of the University of Alabama, showing these guys financially. Think about this. I mean, I've heard stories that Coach Saban tried to help players have a financial thinking to prepare themselves for when football's not here, but this, that, and the other.
majority of your people out there, they're not gonna invest in something that cannot be sustained.
Right.
That's throwing away money. Christian said, "Hey, I got to watch my money." So does everybody else out there. Even, I mean, the guy sitting there listening to the radio right now in their kitchen that said, "Hey, I'm giving $20 a month." To a millionaire, that's nothing. But to that gentleman sitting at his table, that's a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, how many of these guys that, okay, let's just say, CJ, hey, man, you gave us $75,000 last year. Fast forward 3 years from now when, I don't know, 85% of the players CJ helped get to Ohio State are no longer there. They pick that phone up again. Hey, CJ, can we look forward to getting that again? Man, I don't know. It's just like I'm throwing money away.
Right.
I mean, and Christian, you said the same way. You know, we all have to. I mean, in this day and time, and this society we live in these days, I don't care what level you're on, from us to the man running for president. They've got to count their dimes. You know, they're everybody has to an extent. I don't care how rich you are. You're not going to throw money away.
Right.
You're not going to be rich very long.
No.
So it's unsustainable. You know, and somebody is. I mean, a lot of the fans out there don't really realize. I think Christian kind of hinted around to it a little bit. Through the scholarship players, what's left over each quarter, I guess, or every so often from your scholarship, is that basically it's a cash payment to the player? Am I correct in saying that?
There's like a cost of attendance that they give you or something like that. Then if players are eligible, you can get a Pell Grant. But other than that, yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, the thing about this, though, to me, the only way to fix this, let's go ahead and fix it. Because, I work at Mercedes-Benz. Today's my off day. Sometimes I call y'all. Don't tell nobody. But, set it up. I mean, we got guys right now, ladies and kids, God bless them, young folks, 19, 20 years old, walking in the door and saying, hey, how is he making $29 an hour? Or what? I just throw that number out there. $26 an hour, and I'm making 18. I'm doing the same job he is. Well, that guy's been here 17 years.
Right.
You know, it's the mentality, I think, of the youth of America thinking, hey, I don't care if this guy's worked 30 years here. I should be making the same thing he's doing. I'm tightening down the same bolt he is. Show some loyalty. Go ahead and set this in. Take the NIL part out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Build it into the scholarships. Hey, if you've been here 4 years, you get $60,000. You've been here I'm the first year, $60,000. Fourth-year player should be making more than a player that just starts out because he's got loyalty to the school.
That's what I said yesterday. I mean, if I'm a senior and I've busted my tail, I've worked my way up. I mean, I got all these bumps and bruises. I've been an ambassador for the university, and I'm pledged to make $50K. And then a guy comes in who hadn't played a snap, and they just paid him $500K. I'm gonna be upset, man. I'm just being honest.
Well, like I said, if that guy's making $50,000 a year through the scholarship deal, add it to that, put it in there, and everybody gets the same thing across the board. Now, the NIL part, I think, is the deal where you've got to be a little more careful, be more watchful. Then, hey, if you can sell a T-shirt, man, God bless you. That's yours. You do that separately.
Right. Exactly.
But make it to where the collective, all of that money in the collective goes to give these guys, quote unquote, yearly salary across the board. Everybody, and that way, everybody in the entire university gets the same amount, or gets the money to an extent. The basketball player, the softball player, baseball player, it's built into a scholarship fund collective, I guess you could call it. I think it could be a good thing if they do it right, but like Coach Saban and others also said, folks, you're building something that can't be fixed.
It's not done right, Brennan, and you're right. It has to be. It's not sustainable, and what you said is 100% right. You can't go after the big money and continue to ask these guys every year or two for all these big donations. Well, it is sustainable if everybody did give $10 a month or $5 a month. If you got a numerous amount of people doing that, that's affordable for them. Hey, if they get a T-shirt based on it, that's awesome too. And they can continue to do that, but this big money, not going to work. Thanks for the phone call, brother. We got to hit the top of the hour break. When we come back, more of your calls. We'll continue this conversation. Plus, one man believes that Mr. Debor, his time is numbered here in Tuscaloosa. We'll play that for you when we come back.
All right, give me 2 seconds. I'll be right back.
the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles. Here's Monty Bolaños.
The Miami Heat are trading Kyle Lowry and a first-round pick in 2027 to the Charlotte Hornets in exchange for Terry Rozier. And the Hornets have no immediate plan to work on a buyout with Lowry. They're going to see if they can work another trade for him before the February 8th deadline. Indiana Pacers guard Tyrese Halliburton will miss the next 3 games to manage a hamstring injury that he suffered in early January. Cavaliers' Tristan Thompson has been suspended 25 games for violating the league's anti-drug program. In the NFL, Jim Harbaugh is in LA today to meet with the Chargers for a second time about their head coaching job. And according to the NFL Network, a deal is within striking distance. The Eagles have parted ways with offensive coordinator Brian Johnson. WWE's weekly program, Raw, will stream live Monday nights on Netflix beginning in January of 2025. A deal was announced today, and it is worth more than $5 billion over 10 years.
The Alabama Securities Commission protects you from financial fraud. Anyone asking you for investment money must be licensed. You're careful with your money. Fraudsters aren't. Before you invest, call our hotline at 1-800-222-1253 to verify the licensing of the person making an offer and the product. Don't lose your hard-earned money. Learn to protect yourself at asc.alabama.gov. Paid for by the Investor Protection Trust and brought to you by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station.
Tune in to Tide 100.9.
All right, let's see what we got. That was a fun hour. If y'all got any topics or anything, any questions or things like that, drop them down below. Maybe we can try to get to them. Those boosters and players will not continue to write those $200,000 checks every year for NIL. No, that's what we were saying. I mean, if you want something sustainable, then it probably would be, almost like a monthly subscription, almost like Netflix, right? Somebody's paying $20, $25 a month. That's sustainable. But asking people for lump sums of money like that, man, I mean, it's not as reliable as something like, a recurring thing.
Number 2 here on a Tuesday. Hope you're doing well. If you're just not joining us, first hour, we had a good conversation about NIL, about C.J. Stroud of Ohio State, not Oklahoma State. And his donation of $50,000 to $70,000, $100,000, whatever he gave. You know what's real? If he gave $100,000, that ain't a whole lot of money, bitch. I mean, my point is that ain't gonna do a whole lot. I mean, yes, we're glad to get it if you're the collective, but it helps out. But at the same time, when it comes to football and you look at what they have done, if they have spent $13 million based on what the reports are, it hasn't done a whole lot. It helps. But you're going to need a lot more of dudes doing that. We don't believe, Chris and I don't believe that many athletes, former football players for sure, will participate in giving money to collectives. Just our reasons basically was one, they ain't done anything yet, and Christian was talking about this, and so was Denon, who called in. And it's kind of like the old NFL model. I'll tell you this, right? When we got it, Lawrence Taylor told me this. I've been done playing since 2001 when I retired. 2001. We're in Pennsylvania, Hershey, Pennsylvania, at a golf event. My good friends there. And we were out having a bourbon and having a cigar. And Lawrence was telling the story, right? I got drafted in the 6th round, back when they had 13 rounds in 1991. They drafted 2 outside backers in front of me. Of course, my last 2 years at South Carolina, because of a coaching change, they had a different defense. I ended up having to play going from stand up to put my hand in the dirt, somewhat like Will Anderson, is doing. But when I got drafted as an outside linebacker, and I could play all the linebackers. But anyway, that being said, the odds were stacked against me, but I showed up, did what I know I could do, and became a starter pretty early in my career, my rookie year. So he was telling the story. Now, Lawrence Taylor, when I first got to the NFL, the highest paid person on our team was Phil Simms and Lawrence Taylor. Been there a long time. Every year, annually, Pro Bowl player, All-Pro, Player of the Year for Lawrence Taylor on defense. They were the dudes. They made about $700,000. My salary, was $90,000.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I made $90,000 base salary, 1991. I got a $35,000 signing bonus, and then I had a heavily incentivized contract. But by year 3, right, there was no free agency, so there wasn't as you know it now. You couldn't just hop up and leave like the transfer portal, right? You was bound to your contract. So 1991, I ended up starting. During the course of the year, played a lot. I mean, I made good money based on the incentives. I probably make up $200,000 with the incentives, right? 92, started, boom, playing, made plenty of incentive money. Well, we had Plan B, which Plan B protected you had a certain number a team could protect players, right? So if let's call it 35, 40 players that they could put under this protection, meaning no team could come and get those players. I was one of those guys. Usually starters and then, other players that were important to your team. Well, then they started talking about free agency, that players deserve the right to have a choice to go play where they want to go play. Well, that happened in 1993. And in 1993, I had my best year. So I go from that little bit of money to making $1.8 million a year in 1993. That's, Today, I would have been, if you want to kind of equate it, I would have been, God knows, I was one of the highest paid backers. And so, and Lawrence was telling the story of how he won all he's won, all the awards he's won, all the greatness that he had. Listen, he never made that kind of money. Never. So how can you expect a guy like that to did a lot more than I did? And I was a really good football player. Okay? Lawrence was a great football player. And he never made the money. I know time has something to do with it, but the point is, in the locker room, we would get mad. When that happened in the locker room, the first round pick would come into a locker room with this huge contract and haven't played one dadgummit down. But yet they just shoveling money to guys who haven't played a freaking down. I think Ryan Williams is going to be great. But the fact that he can sit here based on what he did in high school and go tell people what kind of money he needs. I don't like that. Because who knows what Ryan Williams is going to be in college? We don't know. So that's kind of a comparison, right? In the NFL, guys get huge contracts sometimes without just being good college football players. And they get drafted and they get a boatload of money. They get to sign for all this money. And a lot of them may not amount to much of nothing. The fair thing is the longer, then Chris, you said this, the longer you've been there and been proven that you are here, you're concreted into that program, the organization, and you playing, you're balling, reward that guy. That person should get the money. So I love NIL, name, image, and likeness, but I don't like the fact high school people can tell me what they need to get paid. Because I mean, my conversation with Ryan Williams would be just like it is now. I appreciate what you've done in high school, any other incoming first. I'm just using him as an example, folks. You ain't did anything yet. And you don't think them dudes in the locker room in Alabama looking at them, them new receivers looking at them like, bro, you ain't done nothing yet. You ain't been through fourth quarter yet. You had to get up in the morning after winter workouts and then go to class yet. But yet, we going to pay you all that money. I understand the game, and I've been the one to sit back the truck up. I'm saying that's what Alabama is going to have to do. They're going to have to back the truck up. And it's unfortunate because he was committed there. Let him go prove himself. Then let him do what he do. Make the main thing. And then you can back the truck up.
Yeah. And I'm not a huge fan of it either. But if you think about it, I mean, that's kind of how the NFL draft is. You alluded to it, like guys that get picked, right? The teams are taking a gamble. They don't know if guys are going to pan out or not. Some guys pan out, others don't. And they get that big signing bonus. With my generation, I wouldn't say guys were mad about rookies getting that big signing bonus. If anything, when we do like our, your rookie song, when you got to sing during training camp, we always say, hey, Christian Miller, 4th round pick, Alabama, and then your signing bonus, right? Normally, like they hear that big signing bonus, everybody be, woo, you know what I mean? Like just messing with you. But just know they're going to hit you on the head when you do your rookie dinner, though. But the only difference is with college, like I said, I think it's a little bit different. It's similar, but it's a little bit different because in NFL, guys that have been tenured, guys that have put in those, they're getting contracts that do pay them. So they're not really sweating it. That's the difference with college, is where it's not like these older vets are like, hey, I'm due for a new deal, right? I'm getting mine. I'm not worried about what the draft pick's getting because I'm getting mine. I put in my time and I'm being rewarded with a new contract. There's no contracts. That's where the issue is with college. So I totally get that. And I saw somebody said, you don't ever want to be held hostage by these players. And I agree. That's why if it was me, if I was a coach, I hate to say this, and hell, I might not be there very long either. I know you just mentioned somebody had put a report out that somebody they don't feel like, maybe you were alluding to maybe Coach DeBoer. He doesn't feel like he's going to be here very long. But look, I probably wouldn't be a coach very long either, because if it was me and somebody came, I would have that approach Coach Saban had when that dude said, hey, I want this, and then I need my girlfriend to get into law school, and I need her to, her law school to be paid for. I literally would just click that button. I'd have a good day. Wouldn't say nothing else. Have a good one. Sayonara. Yeah. I ain't about to have no kids in my office demanding what I need, this and I need. Man, no, heck no, man. Like that's.
But that's what that's the world of college athletics
it is,
and football,
but
especially.
That's what they got to change. But that's what they have to change. Again, it's as simple as this: prohibit paying players before they're at said school, right? And I know people will probably just, suspend the payments or delay it. They'll probably try to get around it, but prohibit paying players via recruiting or whatever you want to call it, or pay for play, pay to get the guy on your roster. That's the issue. And then only allow them to make money when they're on said team with their actual name, image, and likeness. Now, that's as simple as it gets. All it needs to be. And then, boom, I think that's fair. And then if you really want to take it a step further, probably have some type of limitations to provide some parity. That way, schools that have all this money aren't, having an advantage. But I don't know. I do want to let you get to what you're talking about, that article. But also, I do want to talk about Mel Kiper. He just came out with his first mock draft.
Yeah, Kool-Aid. He agrees with me.
Why? See, that's hater energy. I'm not gonna lie. That's hater energy. The way you just said that was hater energy. I know, but I'm just give you a heads up.
But he agrees with me, right?
Supposedly he does, because I'll just go ahead and say it. Mel Kiper did release his first mock draft. There you go, Noah. And
I bet he got to tell you out on in front of Kool-Aid McKinstry.
We'll talk about it on the next side of this break. But I'll say this: Mel Kiper has 6 cornerbacks going in the first round. 6.
Oh,
that's a lot. And
go Tia, listen, California. Yeah, you better be careful what you have. How many in front of Kool-Aid?
Well, I didn't even say that. I was about there's 6 cornerbacks in the first round, and unfortunately, one particular name is missing. That is Kool-Aid McKinstry. Mel Kiper didn't have him in the first round, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah, but Mel Kiper be wrong all over.
100%. I was about to say, we'll talk about our thoughts on that as well, coming back on the flip side.
From a coach, from a radio personality that said, Kalen Debor, uno, dos, tres, cuatro. He's going to last about 4 years in Tuscaloosa, and he's out. I'll play that for you on the flip back in a moment.
All right, let's see what we got. Appreciate everybody joining us. If you haven't already, make sure you like the stream, subscribe if you haven't, and feel free to drop some comments below if you want to throw in some topics or things to talk about. NCAA dropped the ball. They had kicked the can down the road for decades. Yeah, that's what I don't understand. I just don't understand how you just go from being so strict. Again, somebody couldn't even buy me lunch without it being an infraction to this. It just doesn't even make any sense. And I don't understand why now they act like it's just impossible to reel it back in. But that's funny. Let's see what else we got here. Pandora's box been opened up. Now we're seeing the fallout. Yeah. Honestly, I mean, they're going to get something put in place very soon, honestly. Because right now, I mean, this is just, it's like, I wish I could be more vocal about like the stuff these kids are asking for and how this really goes, man. It's just, this is not recruiting. I mean, this borderline contract negotiations. It doesn't even, it's not even remotely close. Like when I was coming out, I mean, it legit was, hey, come on an unofficial visit. We can't really pay for anything, but have your family drive you down here. You got to pay for your hotel, tour the school. This is where if you're in the business school, this is where you'd be attending class. I mean, nowadays these guys go on campus and they're just sitting there discussing how much they need to be paid. Dr. Chris says to continue to collect that they will have to think outside the box. Yeah. It's going to take a lot of people putting their heads together to finally come up with something that will be sustainable and effective. How do you feel about Keon Keeley? Great kid, man. He reached out to me when he was making his decision, and I got to know him. Really good kid, great athlete. He's just still developing. He's still, trying to, figure himself out as a football player. And, last year you got two guys, Dallas Turner, Chris Braswell. I mean, he was behind the scenes developing, but he's coming along nicely, man.
For 4 years, people say all the time, I wouldn't want to replace the GOAT. A lot of people don't want that. And they want to make the guy after the guy or after the guy. And it takes over the GOAT. So real quickly, before we get to will Caleb DeBoer overcome those odds and say the guy that follows the GOAT normally does not brings Alabama back to what they need to be or keep them on the same level? Because right now Nick Saban left them on that level. They made the college football playoffs, right? Should have won, took Michigan into overtime. But will 9-3, will 8-4, if that's what it is for Caleb DeBoer, will that be suffice for the fan base to say, you know what, we're going to give him a chance? Will they be patient? Because I think it's going to be tough sledding early on the first couple of years. It could be 9-3s in there. It could be 8-4. Will this fan base be patient? Will Clay Travis be right, which I don't really like him anyway, but I thought it was interesting that he would just boldly say that this guy going to be fired in 4 years.
No, I definitely think he is, again, look, here's the thing, man. This is all subjective. People have opinions, and that's totally fine, right? I think that's what everybody has to remember. Like, I was even reading this now, and KJ set us up, right? KJ gave us that thing to rank the coaches, and I knew this was going to happen, right? And again, I guess people don't listen, and that's fine. But before you make comments, why don't you listen to the show? Okay, I tried saying 1A, 1B, and I gave respect to him beating Sark. And I said it may be because of personal bias, but because I know Sark personally, and I'm not as familiar with Kalen Debor, it's easier for me to put Sark there just because I know exactly what Sark has to offer, and I respect him as a coach, knowing how he schemes. I look at that Texas game and the job that he did against us. I was on the sideline watching it, went back, watched the tape. Heck of a job. I understand that Coach DeBoer beat him, and I said I totally respect if you have Coach DeBoer won over him. I'm just saying, personally, if I could, I would go 1A, 1B, because I'd take into consideration Coach DeBoer did beat Sark. However, I look at it like with a number of different factors. With that being said, people just, man, it's just people look. Everything is subjective. You have an opinion. Do I think that Coach DeBoer is going to be out here like that? No, I don't think so. I think he's going to do well here. Do I believe that initially there's going to be some obstacles to overcome? Absolutely. That it would be like that with any coach, any new coach, especially following Coach Saban. Like, hello? Like, I mean, that's obvious, right? I mean, the standard here, guys, Coach Saban lost 2 games, and people, there was even people coming for Coach Saban's job. 2 games at the last second. That's how high this freaking standard is. So if people say, hey, if Coach DeBoer loses a few games, the Alabama fan base might be mad. It might be calling for his job. That's a fair statement. They were doing that with Coach Saban losing 2 games almost. They dang sure at least were doing it for the coordinators. So here's the thing. You just that's probably where he's coming from. And now I do believe that Coach DeBoer is going to shock a lot of people, more so outside the fan base, because again, a lot of people are excited about him. I myself included. Newsflash to these people that think just because we thought, let me not say we, because I know you were definitely a little more vocal. I was about to say
Sark was one.
No, I'm saying even before that, because people think just because when they go back to initially when Coach DeBoer was hired, I said it was a good hire. I said all these things. You had your opinion, which is fine. You thought Lane or Sark would be a better fit. That's totally fine. It's all subjective. But you got these freaking people that just sit on Twitter and they hear you say one thing, and it's like, oh, they've been hating on Coach DeBoer. Nobody's hating on him. I said it was a good hire. I said, given the circumstances and who we had, or the options, I definitely think he was the best option. However, I do believe in a situation like this where you have the greatest coach of all time stepping down, I think in my opinion, and you have a roster like we have, I think the best option possible in a perfect scenario would have been if we had a guy like a Kirby Smart that had been waiting for years, who's basically a clone of Nick Saban. If he could just take over the program, you'd limit the bleeding from the players exiting via the transfer portal. Things would be very similar. That foundation would be very. That's fair to say. That has no disrespect towards anybody. I'd say in a perfect scenario. But here's the thing, folks. That wasn't possible. So I clearly said that wasn't even a thought. You couldn't do that with Tommy Rees. You couldn't do that with T-Rob. That wasn't an option. So that's why I said Coach DeBoer is a proven coach. I like the hire. He's a great football coach, but there's going to be a couple obstacles, right? He's going to have to get in on, in the recruiting down here. Did I say he can't do it? No, I said he absolutely can. It's just going to take keeping some guys, retaining some coaches, guys like James. Why do you think Josh Chapman, Denzel Duvall, and Jamie Mosley are on the road? Newsflash. Those guys have never been on the road. Why are they on the road? Because they need to assist Coach DeBoer in this new staff. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. We're stating facts. So I don't know why these people, people just think nobody is hating. I'm a former player here. I want the guy to do well. Do you think I want to see Alabama do bad? It's as clear.
Absolutely not.
That's what I'm saying. These people are delusional, right? Like somebody said I was upset because he's not retaining some of the older staff. I know how this process works. I'm not saying keep the whole staff, but again, if you retain more staff members, you might keep a few more players. Plus, this program that has been built by Coach Saban and all these countless people is special. It goes beyond just the on-field coaches. It goes beyond just the players. There's people in the recruiting department. There's people in all sorts of areas. What I was talking about was stuff like Amy Bragg, like our nutritionist. Like, I don't know the details, but it seems like she wasn't retained. All I'm saying is, if I get to a program and I know she's been responsible for a program that's won 6 national championships in the last 16 years, why the hell would I not want to keep her on the staff? Again, that's no disrespect. I'm genuinely asking. If it was me, I would want to do that. I'm not, again, people can make their own decisions, but personally, I would want to keep people like that, like Ashley Kimball, people like, and I don't know, maybe Ashley's still here. I'm not sure on everybody. I'm just saying, these people had a recipe for success. I'm going to retain as many people as possible. So it's not me being salty or mad that those people were let go. I know these people like very well. Very well. And so it hurts to see some of them lose their job, but I'm just wondering like why you wouldn't keep as many as possible, just because they have the recipe. They know this foundation is special, right? You can't just, you know what I mean? Like it takes a great understanding of this program to understand what makes it special. So anyway, I'm sorry I had to go on a tangent. I see, I run our account and I see this stuff and, it's just,
I see some of it, but I didn't see that. Listen, I mean,
it's just frustrating.
You don't
man.
get
People
a new
just
guy.
talking
He's
out the
going
side
to
of
bring
their neck. Like,
but a new guy's going to bring his people, right? Sometimes you got to make tough decisions, and I totally agree with you. I know
that.
With what you're saying. I know what you're saying. I mean, but at the same time, it is what it is. I mean, that don't mean you're hating on him. I mean, if I say Sark, in my
Hell
opinion,
no.
is
I was at the dude's
number
press
one
conference.
right now. Right. No, you're the biggest cheerleader when it comes
That's
to
what
that.
I'm saying. I'm like, do they not listen to the show? I've been saying he's a great coach.
Yeah.
He's going to do
now,
well.
if you said it was me, then you might have something.
Maybe. That's what I'm saying, man. I ain't got to, I'm not about to defend
Well, it feels
myself,
good
man.
to not be on the other end of that conversation.
Yeah, now, thanks for bringing me into it. Now I got to, no, that's all good. Like
Yeah,
if they're not talking about you not doing something right, so it is what it is.
Right.
I just urge people to actually listen to the show before you make comments, talking about stuff you don't know. Appreciate it, though.
You done?
Yeah, I'm done now. I got that off my chest.
All right, we got people on hold. Stay right there, 205-342-9904. We come back and take your phone calls. Let's see, we got Warren, we got Chuck in Tuscaloosa, we got app message downloaded. It's free, Tide 100.9. We'll come back. We'll deal with those on the flip side. This is the Miller's Edge. We're on the Tide. Be back in a moment.
Coming up on The Game with Ryan Fowler.
Coming up on the Tuesday edition of The Game, we'll feature Mike Detillier, WWL, the Big 870. The grandfather of recruiting, Tom Lemming, will help us work our way down to National Signing Day. All of that starting at 2 o'clock, plus your phone calls on The Game on Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
The longest running sports program in Tuscaloosa. The Game with Ryan Fowler. Weekdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide.
Sorry, I had to get that off my chest. I'm done now with my rant. It's just frustrating. I see people, and I guess I get it. They might have heard my dad with some of his points. I'm like, people making it seem like we're hating on the show or hating on the coaches, man. Come on now. That shit's lame. Nobody's doing that. Like, again, people can have opinions, man. I was at the dude's press conference. I think he's a hell of a football coach. I said, given the circumstances, he's definitely the right hire. I was the one defending this dude the whole time. So don't lump me in all these things, man. Like, I ain't got time for it. I'm going to call you out. All right, here we go. We're back.
Wednesday edition. Hope you're doing well. Let's do it. Let's get right out to the phone lines. Let's talk to Warren. Been holding for a while. Warren, welcome in.
We don't have Warren, but we got Chuck on the line.
All right, let's go to Chuck in Tuscaloosa.
How you doing, Mr. Millers?
Doing great.
Good.
How are you?
Chuck?
I'm blessed. I listen to y'all every day, and I'm actually glad that y'all finally got more time. I love listening to ex-football players. I get tired of news writers speaking their mind, and that's fine. Everybody's got an opinion. But, Christian, I'll tell you something honestly, bud. Your passion, guys like you and Mark Ingram, I remember in the that game where you said it would take a whole lot more to keep you out of that game. And as true Alabama fans, that's what people should look at.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You know, it's funny, Chuck. I was just talking about that game 2 nights ago. I was talking to one of my teammates, and and that's a good point because so I had 2 things going on. I just came back from my biceps tear that I missed majority of the season with, and definitely was not perfect by any means there. But I actually went into that game with the flu, and I was getting IVs around the clock for 2-3 days leading up to that game. And I mean, I had a bad case of the flu. I mean, I felt awful, but I refused. I was like, man, I made it back to this point. So I'm not missing a championship game. Then, you know, we had Anthony go down in the Clemson game. There's no way you could keep me off that field. So I had every type of IV, all that medication that they could give me in my system. But man, I wouldn't trade that for anything, man. That's one of my greatest memories here. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
That's one of a lot of people. You may not hear it enough, but guys like you, guys with passion who have passion for Alabama, it's not here no more in football. I did play college football. I don't get on to much. I wasn't as good as you guys. I love college football, but I love the old college football. Mr. Miller, I agree with him and everything, and I agree with you, Christian. Unfortunately, it is. It's about what have you done for me lately. I love these kids. I want people to come to University of Alabama because of the University of Alabama. You never will replace Nick Saban. But, you know, hey, I will say this. You know, there was a time when someone said you'll never replace the Bear.
They did say that. And we definitely got something. I don't want to step on any toes, but we got Coach Saban.
No. I ain't trying to step on no toes, but my dad played for Bear, and I'm telling you, Mount Rushmore has 2 of University of Alabama's coaches on it. Mr. Miller, I loved you, the New York Giants, and I ain't going to lie to you. I'm a 49ers fan for the past 15 years, but y'all's defense was one of the, I don't know, you couldn't talk bad about y'all in front of my dad.
Wow. We used to be pretty good, pretty salty and played hard, very aggressive, you know, and that's what New York was built on, right? Running the football and playing great defense, old blue collar effect. And we kind of got away from that. Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, there is no answer for this NIL or any of this other subjects because no matter what somebody probably comes up with, you're going to have attorneys go in there and fight for something other. And not for the player, but for the money they make it.
Mm-hmm.
Christian, you don't have to. I know I'm all over the pad, but Bub, please trust me when I say you don't have to express nothing to nobody about your opinion. I came up with a philosophy a long time ago, and I can't say the last word because my child will get onto me, but two tears in a bucket, make the rest up.
That's right. I appreciate that.
Yeah, we love y'all guys. Christian, I'm not going to throw a name drop online, but if you transfer me back to a guy, I'll tell him we would love my mom. She gets a lot of you guys, you football players, baseball, basketball, softball, that eat at her place. And I will tell you, when I get off the phone, you'll put me on. I'll tell them what it is because I don't believe in name dropping and freeness.
Right.
No, you're good, Jay. I was about to say,
give
Noah the details, man. I'll definitely go check them out.
Please do. It's if you've eaten at City Cafe, you'll like eating here.
Oh, absolutely, for sure. Yeah, please do give Noah the details, and I'll stop by.
It's good stuff.
And
Good
for
stuff.
that guy who got comments about Debor, have faith.
That's right.
Have faith.
Roll
Faith.
Tide and
Roll Tide.
Yes, sir. Roll
Bless you, my
Tide. Thank you,
friend.
Chuck.
There's Chuck in Tuscaloosa. Appreciate the phone call,
Great call.
205-342-9904. Before we get to the whole Kool-Aid deal and Mel Kiper, Christian, the all-rookie team came out. Jahmyr Gibbs, one of my favorites. He's on the list. The offense from the Tide. On defense, Will Anderson Jr. is on the list, as well as safety Jordan Battle of the Cincinnati Bengals. He's on the list. So that's 3 rookie players from the Alabama Crimson Tide made all-rookie team. So congratulations to former Tide players. We've been talking about, with the draft, it's off season now that college football is over. You got the Senior Bowl, you got the Shrine Bowl, you got all these different things that guys are getting ready for, personal workouts. Well, one of the guys a lot of people thought would be a first-round guy, and they've been alluding to that point all year long, and that's one Kool-Aid McKinstry. I've been somewhat hard on him because I watched the game from a different set of eyes a lot of the times, and when I don't see guys, I feel like playing hard or not giving their all. I saw that numerous times with my eyes. I saw that people did stay away from Kool-Aid. A guy like Terrion Arnold, I thought, benefited from that. Christian, you looked at these rankings from Mel Kiper, Todd McShay, 2 guys that they have these big shows on all these potential draft picks. We know that. But Kool-Aid McKinstry not really turning the head of one Mel Kiper, which I'm not shocked, because when I look at the cornerback position, did I feel like he was one of the best in the country? I did not this year. A year ago, maybe I did. But I don't think he had the year this past season that he had in years prior. But tell folks what Mel Kiper had to say.
Yeah, well, I mean, you just know that, look, and the thing is, these mock drafts, right? Nothing's concrete, right? Nothing is set in stone. It's just, again, all subjective, because that's what free speech is. People are entitled to state their opinion. That's the great thing about this country. But he had 6 corners in the first round. And actually, believe it or not, not believe it or not, but actually, yeah, probably believe it or not, Terrion Arnold is in that list, and he's actually the second one, going 13 overall to the Raiders. However, there's 4 guys after Terrion Arnold, and still no Kool-Aid McKinstry. So I guess he'd probably, if I had to guess, would have him falling in the second round. But here's the thing, man. I mean, Terrion definitely, I if I had to guess, the year that Terrion had, and then given his athleticism, I think Terrion's a guy that's going to test off the charts. I think he's going to have a hell of a 40. His testing numbers are going to be, elite. I think that's going to help, cement his status as probably a first-round pick. I wouldn't be shocked if he goes ahead of Kool-Aid, which if you said that a year ago, people probably would have laughed at you. But the fact of the matter is, Kool-Aid still had a good year, right? Still played some good football, but I would argue that Kool-Aid was outplayed by Terrion. So we'll definitely see how that goes. But I mean, again, nonetheless, man, 2 guys that are going to be, really good football players in the NFL. And we all know, you and I both know at least, that it's not where you get drafted, it's what you do when you get there. But I could tell you right now, if a guy like Kool-Aid, knowing his work ethic and his mindset, if he does fall out of that first round, it might be one of those things where it really lights that fire within him. And he kind of gets back to playing with a little bit more of a chip that we once saw. I'm not saying that he didn't necessarily play with one, but I wouldn't argue with somebody if they felt that he took a step back this past year. Now, I get people are going to say, oh, they didn't throw at him. It's not necessarily the times when they didn't throw at him. It's just sometimes it didn't seem like that same level of play that we had seen. But I'm telling you right now, I think he's definitely going to use it as motivation if he does slide the way Mel Kiper has him sliding. However, I don't think I still think he probably lands in the first round. But I agree with the man. I think Terrion is definitely flying up draft boards. But real quick, also on that mock draft from Mel Kiper,
Brian Branch made it too, by the way. I dropped one guy out here, so they chose Battle over Branch. No, both of those guys made it defensively, Brian Branch and Jordan Battle.
Good, yeah. So rookie's doing some big things in the league this past season. But You also had Dallas Turner. He was number 8 overall going to the Falcons. So they got him slated as a top 10 pick. That'd be back-to-back years with top 10 picks for Alabama at the edge position. And then J.C. Latham was also on that list, but I kind of lost my thing I had in front of me. But I'm pretty sure J.C. Latham was also on that list. Can't remember exactly where. But that would give Alabama, 3 people on the list from Mel Kiper. So that's about right.
J.C. Latham?
No, I said I'm pretty sure he was. I lost the list, and I'm drawing a blank. I can't remember exactly where he was, but no, he was on that list. Can't remember exactly the spot. But
Dallas Turner, they think really high up as a pass rusher. And again, Dallas Turner's going to be that guy. We talked about how Nick Saban played defense. I think he'll be a stand-up guy. And if they're playing a 3-4 defense, I think he fits better in that scheme rather than a 4-3 defensive Sam linebacker, in my opinion. But we'll see. Normally these guys, one of the things that they do, they drop weight. They're a little lighter than they've ever been.
You said the Falcons run a 3-4, right?
Well, they don't know what they run now because they don't have a coach.
Oh, I got you. I was about the past couple of years they've been running a 3-4, but you're right.
Right. I'm just saying he fits better in a 3-4.
Oh yeah, no. If it was the same, if it was the same scheme they've been running, he would have been a perfect fit. But that's a great point. I mean, Bill Belichick has interviewed with them. Is it twice now?
Yeah, he's twice, as well as I think Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh's meeting again with the Los Angeles Chargers. Many reports saying that this deal is extremely, extremely close to being done. So if that happens, we're definitely going to look at Michigan. And I talked about this in the initial. If, in fact, that happens, Jim Harbaugh goes and forgoes Michigan. Because one of the biggest things that Jim Harbaugh said was he wanted to be cleared if there's something that comes up. You remember the NCAA, they got violations that's sitting there.
Right.
But he wants to be exonerated from all of that, right? So, Dutch Cannon says, I'm guilty. In my opinion, I like Jim Harbaugh's faith and all that, but I'm like, man, you're doing some shady stuff, bro. But I don't know. For me, the best thing for Jim Harbaugh to do is to go on to the NFL. Then he don't have to worry about the NCAA and what happens at Michigan. Ron Moore is the guy that many believe that if, in fact, he goes, that's his job. I mean, a lot of people have said, hey, you know what? Brian Kelly of LSU makes sense. The Western Michigan, Notre Dame, Midwest, that makes a lot of sense for him. Maybe with that particular job, I say no. I think they hire from within. Sharon Moore, you keep your roster intact because they've sat there and watched the depletion of Alabama's roster. And I say depletion because there's a lot of great football players that's left. I mean, that left. They got a lot of players still on that roster, but boy, they took a hard hit, probably worse than many had expected, right? So we'll see. I mean, this thing is absolutely crazy with the players, the transfer portal, NIL. Now you're talking about how coaches is leaving up and leaving. Boosters getting mad, like we saw at Arizona, that basically threatened the coach.
that was a little much.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though, Christian. This is where we are. These guys are giving big money.
Right.
And this is about relationships, and you getting out there with these coaches and going on their yachts and, vacation homes and drinking bourbon and smoking big time cigarettes. Now y'all see, because what you're giving up is, which I can tell you, these coaches don't want to do it. They don't want boosters in their program. They don't want people from the outside. Much y'all think they do. They don't. Believe me that. They don't want these guys to have that kind of access to their program. They do it because they have to do it because they want their checkbook. But the deep down feelings, they don't want that to happen. So this guy from Arizona, they got good players. I don't know if you watch Arizona in the bowl game, but man, they look very nice. Right?
Maybe we need to grab some of their guys. I hate to be like that, but hell, people are doing it to us.
This guy.
Well,
this guy said, dadgummit, doggone it, whatever word you want to use. Booster's like, I'm going to make it so you're not going to get our best players. You know why? Because he basically said, I'm going to get these guys what they want. And y'all over at Washington, Jed Fish, you're not going to have the money. Because you know what? It'd be like coach's contract. You will always be the highest paid. If somebody come with something, I'll give you $1 more. It's like, but that's what I'm saying though, Christian. It's like, this is where we are, man, with this stuff. And look at all the battles on X. I mean, it's intriguing to me. That's why I stay on it. But fans are, do they like Debor? Do they not like Debor? And if you say anything, let them people just attack you. You didn't even say anything.
I've been supporting the guy the whole time, and I'm over here getting.
I can deal with it. I can take it, bring it. But I'm gonna tell you the truth.
I can take it too, but like I said,
I'm not gonna sit here and tell you
politician. You're gonna see my real side.
Debor has the best coaching staff in the world. I'm not gonna sit and tell you that because I don't know yet. Because just like I said about the 18-year-old, I got to see it first. Because I don't know. I'm worried about the defense. I know they got two guys from.
Let's just stop talking about it because people are going to keep.
And by the way, I want to talk about this. Ask your opinion on our last segment. They just offered a kid from South Alabama.
Yeah, look like a good player.
Womack's kid looks like a good player, but a lot of fans are saying, we're gonna be Indiana Crimson Tide. we're gonna be South Alabama.
That's just people just speaking on.
That's what people are saying.
Let's talk about that on the flip side. That's good. That's a good topic.
Let's go.
We'll be right back. I want to take a quick time out. You're listening to the Miller's Edge right here on Tide 100.9, 1230 AM WTBC. Be right back after a quick time out.
All right, we got one last segment. If y'all got any, well, I guess we're going to hit that topic real quick, but if y'all got anything, I'll get to it. Let's see. With what's going on at Alabama, we definitely need y'all's input. Y'all have truly been a blessing. Thanks a million. Oh, man, thanks for the support, Terry. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Our offensive staff is better than it was. Jury's still out on the D, but it looks like a decent staff. See, I agree 100% with that, right? I think the offense, and again, everything's to be determined. This is all just opinion right now, subjective. I don't care if it's a former player or a fan. No one knows. Nobody can predict the future. But in my opinion, I agree with you, Hacker. I think that offensively, this could be an upgrade. Defensively, I do have. When I say concerns, it's not like I think we're not going to be good. It's just I just know after watching tape. Again, I've done this my whole life. Just seeing the defensive philosophies that Coach Womack brings. They vary. It's very different than what we played here, and not that that's that determines anything, but just knowing ball and being a defensive guy. I'll be honest, the defenses that he plays or that he likes aren't necessarily my favorite. But again, that's all subjective. But just knowing how, just knowing what it takes to play defense, especially in the SEC and having the ability to stop the run and those things, those are things I'm I wouldn't say concerned about, but just definitely going to be keeping an eye on. Yeah, exactly, Jamie. Open-minded with tempered expectations.
Here on a Tuesday. Tell you what, though, you can't be mad about Kalen Debor and what he's doing on the recruiting trail. He is out and about. All you see on X right now is him posing pictures with high school coaches, him and some of his staff. So that's what you got to do. You got to be boots on the ground. That's why I said, hey, man, when he got here, don't let that press conference be too long, bro. Say what you need to say. Thank Coach Saban. Thank the University of Alabama. And then get on the road. Go out there and meet these folks and start building relationships, because that's what recruiting was all about. I don't say that today very lightly.
NIL is kind of taking over.
I don't know how much recruiting matters anymore. Speaking of
it definitely still matters. But you're right. He's definitely on the road, and him and his staff they've been throughout the state. Very important. And like I said earlier, I mean, they've got those guys with them, which is the right move, right? They got Denzel, they got Chap, guys that aren't recruiting.
Well, they got
right?
the lunchroom. They got the lunchroom person recruiting.
Right. No, it's funny. It's funny that and that kind of proves what we were saying in terms of, you know, you got to have people with those connections and relationships. Like that's, again, it never was hating, but if you're coming from a different place, geographically speaking, right, that matters. And so that's why you've got guys on the recruiting trail that typically aren't. And I think it's paying dividends for them. Now they're actually going with them, because last week it was just Denzel, Chap, and those guys by themselves. Now that the contracts are finalized, we're seeing the coaching staff down there as well. And I think they're, you know, got boots on the ground and they're hitting the ground running.
Yeah, I think you got to do that. You got to show your face. You got to make those initial contacts and relationships. I do want to say this too before we got about 6 minutes or so. But folks, one of the things that happens in recruiting is these athletes continue relationships with other coaches from other teams. This has been going on. It never stopped, okay? There is contact always being made, whether it be social media now or through mom and them. Okay, so all these folks jumping on Caden Proctor and what he said about coaches telling him to keep his head up when he's playing bad and all of that from Iowa, that, they're tampering and they're cheating. No, they're not. That's always been the case. None of that is any different. Tampering and cheating would have been something that would not have been so open. Like, come here and play for us. We got $10 million for you, or blah, 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 vaze, whatever it is. But players keep in contact. You can talk to coaches that you've built relationships with. You can talk and have conversations, which they do. It happens. Some of these players like guys that recruited them a great deal. They may not go to school there for whatever reason. But Proctor didn't cheat. Iowa didn't cheat to get Caden Proctor back.
You wouldn't call that tampering, reaching out for the season?
He just said, listen, why wouldn't you encourage a young man who was a kid that you've been recruiting that was struggling to keep his head up?
I can't tell if you're being sarcastic or not.
I'm not being sarcastic. I'm being honest.
Man, that's tampering. You can't reach out to no
kids. It's not tampering. It's like, it would have been like if Will Muschamp talked to you before. Will Muschamp saw you before and had a comment when you was at Alabama, or that's happened before. He wasn't cheating.
Really?
He liked you. He realistically liked you.
You know what you're describing? That's like the guy best friend that's quote unquote cheering the girl that just went through a breakup. He's cheering her up, being there for her. He's a shoulder for her to cry on. In the back of his mind, he's getting brownie points because he's trying to get his opportunity. That's tampering, man.
That's not tampering.
Come on, man. That's tampering.
Listen, it's not tampering to tell the kid to keep his head up. Was there anything on there he said that, hey, you know we still want you. You know things don't go right. We're right here. Hey, things are not boom. I mean, it's not tampering.
I mean, fair enough. But you mentioned the South Alabama kid, and only one thing I just want to say about that is I just urge people that and a lot of it's probably people not from our fan base, but if you're joking about a kid from South Alabama or saying, oh, I mean, we're used to recruiting, guys, Trey Amos, right? He I don't know what he was rated out of high school. Probably wasn't very high because, again, he came from was he the one that came from UAB or did he come from Louisiana?
No, that's not him.
No, Jalen Key came from one place and he came from the other, right?
Jalen Key came from UAB.
Okay, then he came from like ULL or wherever it was, right? All I'm saying is a lot of guys, yeah, he came from ULL, Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns, right? You got to remember, man, it doesn't really matter about what you were in high, because there's guys that are 5 stars end up being trash, right? So don't laugh at a guy. I mean, if he's a good player, he's a good player, right? I don't care about, what stars you are. I mean, because let me throw this out there. I saw the new rankings, I guess. We have 3 5-star cornerbacks now in this class. They upgraded 2 guys from 4 stars to 5 stars. What changed in the past 6 months that is it the Bama bump? I don't know. I hope they play like 5 stars. All I'm saying is you can't go off these things because these are just people giving these labels. And if the guy's a good football player, he's a good football. I'm telling you right now, we need depth. We have no depth at the linebacker position. We don't.
And he knows the system.
Right.
Yeah.
He's not going to play over Deontay Lawson or Jod Campbell, but he's going to provide great depth.
Special teams.
Special teams. Yeah, you don't have any special teams. Like, this is something
Right.
people want to make fun of stuff, but they don't realize you don't have any special teams players. You
He's
don't
not
have
gonna
any
be counting
DBs.
on
You don't
the
have any
big
linebackers.
playmaker.
Those make off teams, especially like you need special teams players. But anyway, we'll see it. But from what I saw, he looked like a pretty good athlete.
Yeah, we're going to be Indiana Crimson Tide. Hey,
What do you mean,
Noah Haynes,
Indiana? He's South Alabama.
Give me one last message real quick, Noah, please.
Yeah, we had an app message from KJ. He was responding. He said, let's make a bet. This is to Corey. If I backpedal quicker than you make an NIL donation to Alabama. If KJ backpedals quicker than, if you backpedal quicker than KJ, he'll make an NIL donation.
Man,
That don't count.
Man, KJ looks like the Nutty Professor.
I mean, how about you challenge me? We probably similar in age. You can't go at
Man, I'm
dude that's
55 years
That's
old,
like,
and
come
I'm a
on,
man that's 2 months removed from a stroke, baby. I mean, come on. So you want to hit me up
Yeah,
like that?
how about this? You line up against me.
I ain't lined up against nobody.
No, not
But
you.
what I
I'm
can
saying
tell you-
KJ. Tell KJ come line up
yeah.
against me. I
But
got
I
it.
tell you what,
I'll take care of it.
KJ, a decade in that league they call grown man football, bro. I got my flowers for that. Promise. That's why I can sit here today and just do radio and have fun and laugh with you. I did mine, so I'm good. All right. For Noah Haynes, Christian Miller, I'm Corey Miller, pastor painting for KJ, who says fans will pay money to get see him and Bryant in the stadium backpedal. For all of you fans out there, we love you. We love you to death, but players are more important. Let's all remember that. Listen, Ron Fowler's next. Get inside the game right here on the Tide 100.9, 1230 a.m. WTBC. We love you. We appreciate you. We'll see you tomorrow. God bless you. Jehovah Jireh is your provider. Mine too. Peace.